Hey fellas, Wall here. Just bringing you a short video today about some information that I had found. Something actually really peculiar. If you're taking a look here on the screen, you can see I have the taxi nodes table open from the client DBC. The taxi nodes table indicates all of the flight paths that are available in game, and some of them obviously you can see are listed as transports. These are ships. Most of the locations you can see in their name here. This would be the flight path location for the flight master. Now, some of these are Alliance, some of these are Horde. You can see at the end of the table what creature you'd be using. This will indicate whether or not it's like a Wyvern or Griffin or Hippogriff. But one entry that kind of caught my attention here is the two for Alterac Valley, Dun Baldar and Frostwolf Keep, the Alliance and Horde locations in Alterac Valley. Now, originally they were supposed to have flight paths, and you had the Griffin Master that you would rescue, and then you would do the aerial bombing. Wallcraft features the original alpha map, and there's a few people that are working on filling it. TD and Grender, especially, are working on filling the alpha Alterac Valley map, along with the original Master Ryson's Eye quests and all that stuff. Those are pretty much completed on their end for a lot of things, but there's still a lot of work to do. So, regardless, the two flight paths, though, were originally part of Alterac Valley, and as typically you'd think that these are just part of the battleground. They're located within the battleground instance continent, and they have their own unique flight path locations. But something that I did find that was really peculiar would be the taxi path listing. Currently I'm fixing the flight paths for old Ironforge, and what I had noticed here while going through Ironforge flight paths was that Dun Baldar and Alterac Valley is actually a flight path listed within the client DBC. It's unused because obviously there's no flight path at Dun Baldar. It's within an instance, but this still does exist. It exists within the DBC, meaning originally you were intended to be able to fly there from Ironforge, or probably from other locations. In fact, let's take a look and see if entry 59 is listed to taxi node, or even let's check from taxi node first. Okay, so yeah, we have you were able to fly from Alterac to Ironforge, and you couldn't fly from Alterac to anywhere else besides Ironforge. I'm going to guess that the same is true for flying to there. We'll check, though, just to be certain. So, 59. Okay, yeah, so you could only fly there from Ironforge. You go from Ironforge to Dun Baldar. And I'm just going to assume that the same is true right here. You'd see 11. What is 11? Undercity. So you could fly to Alterac Valley as Alliance and Horde from either Ironforge or Undercity. Now, obviously, this was never implemented into the game. You could never fly into the battleground, but that got me thinking. The original design for Alterac Valley was meant to be very much an open battleground. You would queue into it, and you would just instantly get in there, as long as there was a spot that was empty. Balancing really wouldn't have even existed for the battleground, because you would just be able to walk in, essentially, right through the portal. And that kind of leads me to believe that Alterac Valley wasn't even meant to be a 40 versus 40 battleground. It was just meant to be an open world battleground area, one that you were able to fly into. Very likely it wasn't even meant to be an instance. It was probably meant to be on the open world somewhere. But obviously you have the instance portal, so I'm just going to assume that it has its own map, map 30. But the implications of that really is that you would be able to go in there freely from a flight path, and there would be no queuing system, which would lend credence to the portals being outside the battlegrounds, and Alterac Valley and Warsong. Warsong probably having a cap, but Alterac Valley perhaps not having one. I would have to do more research on that to really confirm if that's the case. But regardless, it got me thinking, and I'm very likely going to implement that for Wallcraft. Essentially removing the player cap from Alterac Valley, removing the queuing system essentially from Alterac Valley and allowing you to just freely enter the battleground. It would still be held on a separate instance map, and it would be continuously running like a battleground. It would be essentially with all the timed events and all of the objectives and all of the original stuff that was scrapped later on in vanilla or before vanilla. So much more close to the original design of it. But it would be, again, a running battleground that you'd be able to freely join any amount of people on one side or other. And that's where you would really duke it out and contest each other for resources and for control, obviously the reputation and honor gains. And I think that this would be a lot better format for Alterac Valley. Currently, Alterac Valley is despised. Some very few people like it, just for the vanilla state. And unfortunately, the vanilla state isn't even the original design of the battleground, quite clearly. And it was watered down in later expansions to essentially just be a Zerg rush to the end. In vanilla, especially in the opening weeks, it can last for hours and hours and hours, and as it should. But there's often times not a clear objective. The battleground becomes very a stalemate, and not so much of a struggle, but more just of a stalemate. And the player numbers typically decrease as time goes on, so after day 2 of the same battleground running, you're not going to have 40 people on each side queuing in. It's people just essentially deadlocking at the choke points there. And that happens often, but then as weeks progress and time goes on in typical vanilla progression servers, you see Alterac Valley becoming more and more of a Zerg, and usually favoring one side or one faction. So, obviously this can be improved upon by reverting it to the original design of just an open struggle between the two factions. And obviously it'd still be in its own instance map, but it would be uncapped, essentially functioning like its own continent. And it would offer a lot more in terms of rewards for the player. At least faster gains just for competing in the battle. The month-long grind to Exalted, still going to be a thing, but at the same time in Wallcraft, it's a lot faster than trying to get the rep gains from vanilla. So there's a lot of details to work out on how it's properly going to be implemented, but we have the general idea at this point now, so this is where we're going to push the battleground towards, is the original alpha design with the original alpha maps and the original objectives and different functions and features. And obviously if something didn't exist in alpha but it was later added in vanilla, I'm still going to incorporate that, kind of blending the two into a more unified design. A lot more thorough, a lot more complete. But that's all I've got for now. Just a weird discovery that I found in the files that kind of led me to a new design idea. And stay tuned for more. If you support the project, don't forget to check us out, wallcraft.org. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm almost at the point where I have enough subscriptions to start running more content. So I'd like to just keep getting those numbers up and keep promoting the channel, keep promoting the website, the project, and hopefully we'll be able to, you know, amass a nice, decent following. We've already got a sizable number of people, about 1,000 people in the Discord right now that are excited and waiting for the project. So, over the next year and over the coming few months especially, I'll be promoting more content. And full launch will be in 2024. I'll probably have a beta test server up before then that'll allow you to go through the 1 through 60 experience and kind of figure out all the nuances and different details of the game. But yeah, stay tuned for more.